Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. Well, I'm going to answer a viewer letter today about winterizing your tractor. If you're getting ready to park your tractor for the winter and you're going to walk away from it for a while, there's some things you need to do to that tractor before you leave so you don't get a bad surprise next spring when you come back to it. Let's get to the viewer letter first. The letter comes from Rob and he says, "Can you do a video on storing your tractor for the winter? I just got a 2017 New Holland Workmaster 33 hydrostat and I'm wondering how to prep it for winter storage. Thank you." Well, Rob, you wrote that letter in 2020, and when I get a letter I want to do a video about, I print it out and I put it in a file, and that got pushed to the back, and I've never done the video until now, and I guess better late than never, right? I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to go through 10 things today that you need to know about winterizing your tractor. The first 6 are related to practices you need to do to the tractor, and the other 4 revolve around other tips for winter and attachments and things like that. Well, let's get to number 1. The first thing you need to do before that tractor gets parked is to treat the fuel if you're going to let it set for a while. And there's 2 things you can worry about. All through the country, anywhere you are, if the tractor sets for a long time, it can get condensation in the tank and it get a bacterial slime growing on top of that diesel. And so anytime that tractor sets for a long period of time, you need to put a treatment in there to prevent that. And if you're in the Midwest and North, you got to worry about gelling. Diesel fuel, when it gets below around 10 degrees, will gel up. It turns into jello, and it won't run through your injector system at that time. And if your tractor gels, the only thing you can do to make it ungel is to warm it up, get it in a heated garage at a shop somewhere and let it warm up. And we want to prevent that, and it's easily preventable. Both things are easily preventable if you put a treatment in your tractor. So I'm not going to recommend a specific product. I use Howe's brand. It works in this area, and it's both a prevention of gelling and a prevention of that slime buildup, but whatever works in your area. Now, different areas have different needs. If you live in the south, you don't need the anti-gel. If you live in the way north, you may need something a little bit stronger than the Howe's. And when you put your fuel in your tank is important too. In the summer, no fuel is treated for anti-gel. In the winter, the fuel companies have got to, budget for the fact that when they deliver the fuel to the place you buy it from, it may be really cold and they can't have it gel up in the big truck. So it will have some treatment in it already. So it's kind of an inexact science. But whatever treatment you get when you're leaving the tractor for a long period of time, here's how you use it. Have the tractor filled halfway up with fuel, dump your treatment in, fill it the rest of the way up to fuel all the way to the top. Don't leave an empty tank in a big cavern there for condensation, and then run it around a little bit to get that worked into the system, and you're good to let the tractor sit. Now, the number 2 thing you need to think about on your tractor for winter is the tractor seat. Seats don't like moisture and they don't like UV rays. And I had a seat on my old tractor and I fixed it, and I'll tell you how you can fix it if you've got one like this. It had kind of a pond in the bottom of it. It had an indentation where it would hold water. And if you get water in your seat and it stays there and it freezes and thaws over the winter, pretty soon you've got a crack and pretty soon you've got water down in the foam and it's done. And there's an easy way to fix it. If you go to my website right here, I sell replacement seats. And I fixed my problem with a new seat, and I couldn't be happier, and I added armrests when I got it, which is a nice thing to have. But you want to make sure that your seat doesn't hold water over the winter, and you'd rather it not be in the sun either, because sun cracks vinyl. So if you're on a tractor that's going to be outside, if you'll tip that seat forward, the problem with that is underneath the seat is some stuff that could get weathered in the winter. So I take a tub that had mineral mix in it that I got from a neighbor and put over that stuff on the back and tie it down. And then the seat's protected and what's underneath it is protected, and I don't have to worry about that at all. The third thing we need to think about in the winter is our radiators. And the first thing you need to do is clean it out, because if it's got gunk in there from late season bush hogging, better to get it out now than let it sit over the winter and get out. And the best tool I found for getting gunk out of a radiator is a radiator genie, and it comes with 2 wands, one for air, one for water, and you can blast out whatever's in there. And I sell it on my Amazon affiliate page, and I'll put a link in the description below if you'd like to buy it. But it's a great tool to clean that radiator out. Do that first. And then go get your handy antifreeze tester with the floating balls in it and make sure your antifreeze is good to the coldest temperature you'll have in your area. And your radiator is good for the winter. The fourth thing we need to be concerned about is rodent control, keeping mice away from your tractor. To a mouse, your tractor looks like the best house ever, and they'll climb up there in the engine compartment and make a little nest, and if your tractor's outside and there's snow on the ground and they can't get to food, they'll eat the wires. And if you knew how many people I hear from every year with wiring damage from mice and an expensive fix staring them in the face, you'd be real concerned about this. Now, the best thing to get rid of mice is, I don't know. On my Amazon affiliate page, I've got a product called Fresh Cab, and I did a video on it. I'll post a link right here that's supposed to work, and it seems to have worked for me. If you watch that video, go down and read the comments, because there's a lot of other different remedies to prevent mice from getting in your tractor. A hungry cat, the bounce, those fabric softener things that go in your washing machine. There's a whole bunch of things people have tried. There's even an electronic device you can purchase that's supposed to make them crazy. And I don't know if that works or not, but it's worth a shot if you've got them. And I'm not so sure that some things work in some areas and they don't work in others. It's not an exact science, but you want to be cognizant of it. And if you see a mice coming to your tractor, definitely get rid of them. The number 5 thing we want to do applies if you've got a front end loader. We don't want water in that bucket all winter long. And so if you've got quick attach, it's real easy. And if you don't have quick attach, I can help you. We sell that on my website as well. We can convert most tractors to quick attach. But if you've got quick attach, just get out of your bucket, take the bucket off, tip it over on the ground so it can't get water in it, and then pull your faceplate back into the tractor so those chrome rams are not exposed over the winter. If you don't have quick attach, just tilt your bucket forward, and you probably want to put a block under the back of it so it stays up in the air on the back, and so it'll drain out. And then I like to put grease on the exposed cylinder rams just so they don't rust over the winter, because you don't want rust on those. Now, the number 6 thing we need to think about is our battery. And this ties in with tractor theft, because tractor theft is a big problem. If you're storing your tractor a long way away from your house and you're not going to be back there for a while, it could walk away. And you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone if you take that battery out, take it to home, put it on a trickle charger occasionally over the winter, and then it's ready to go next spring. Also, if it's out of there, usually a thief won't try to take the tractor, because to get it started they'll have to either winch it on or I'll have to go steal a battery from somewhere else, and most thieves don't want to go to that trouble. Now, here's a tip: if you don't want to go to the hassle of taking the battery out and you want to prevent theft, an inexpensive way of preventing tractor theft is to get your operator presence switch that's underneath the seat and either unplug it or take it out of the bracket so it doesn't work. If a thief gets on that tractor and it won't start, they're going to probably move on to somebody else's tractor. They're not going to want to diagnose what the problem is. Now, these last 4 items are not things you do to your tractor, but maybe things you do to your attachments, or things you need to do over the winter yourself to make your life easier when you come back to that tractor next spring and you're busy. And the first one is number 7, and that is you need to clean off the top of your bush hog, especially if it's stored outside. Get all of the debris off of there, and then make sure you park it where, if it's outside, it doesn't hold moisture in one of those compartments where the bracing is. And you want to make sure you get that so it's not holding moisture and rusting out your deck. Now, a lot of the older bush hogs, they've got a bunch of bracing up there, and it's hard to get them parked where the water comes out. The newer ones mostly have kind of a flat deck on the top, and they'll shed water. Now, when thinking about how to park your bush hog, I got this tip from a viewer that I thought was kind of interesting. Billy wrote, "Watched your video on hooking up a brush hog. I set my 6-foot brush hog on an 18-wheeler tire, centered with the blades turned out. It swivels around with a finger, and very easy to hook up." I thought I'd pass that tip along. It's not necessarily related to winterization, but kind of an interesting idea, and it probably would make hooking back up a lot easier. Now, the number 8 thing I want to talk about, and this was an idea from a viewer so long ago I've lost who it was, but it's a great idea. Most of your bush hogs and implements that are PTO powered Those PTO shafts freezing up over the winter, that's a big problem with them. And our easy way to prevent that from happening is take them off and put them in a clean, dry place like your garage over the winter. And most PTO shafts are held on by one bolt that can easily be taken off, or on my bush hog, I've got a push tab that holds it on that I push in and it slides right off. And then I can lubricate it, the shield and everything, and slide it back together and put it in my garage over the winter, and I don't have to worry about it rusting up over the winter. And those PTO shafts that rust up, I can tell you in the spring I get a lot of contact from viewers that can't get their PTO shaft to extend. And it's just got a little bit of rust in there, and it doesn't take much, and it really will slow you down. So you want to prevent that if you can. And while we're on the topic of winterizing attachments, and this is not on my list because it only applies to one type, if you've got a sprayer, make sure you run some RV antifreeze through that before you park it for the winter. And if it were me, I would take that pump off and put it inside where there's no way it can freeze. Because pumps are expensive, and from time to time they do freeze. Now, the number 9 thing we're going to talk about today is one of the best tips I've heard from anybody about ways to prevent problems on down the road. And this makes a great winter project. And here it is, it's from Rick. And Rick says, I make a new contact on my phone for all my machines. I have my truck, my, I don't know what MC, maybe mower conditioner, I don't know what that stands for, golf cart, tractor, generator, etc. Then in the notes section, I put the VIN number, the license plate, the model, the oil, the filter ID, and the tire pressure. If I do maintenance, I put what I did and when. I always have my phone, and if I'm at a store and need something, I have the air filter size, the oil weight, etc. Since I usually fill up multiple tires at one time, I have a separate contact name, tire pressure, and have all of the tire pressures on all the vehicles noted. I hate trying to find and read tire pressure PSI on bikes, lawnmowers, golf carts, etc. And Rick, that's a great thing to do this winter. Get all that information in your phone. That's a great tip. I'm going to do it myself. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. But that'll save a lot of hassle when it's busy on down the road, and it's something you can do while you're not doing anything this winter. And finally, the last tip is from me, Tractor Mike. And this will put me out of a job if you all do it, probably. And I'm bad about it too. Read your owner's manual. An owner's manual is a long, boring thing with a lot of safety stuff in it that's probably unnecessary, and some that is, and a lot of information about how to use your tractor. And if you get that out and use it, you'll have less trouble with your tractor later on and probably put me out of a job. Now, I recommend you do it. I have trouble making myself read an owner's manual. They're pretty boring, but you'll be amazed at what you'll learn, even if you've already read it a time or two before. So, Rob, those are 10 things you can do to winterize your tractor, and I'm really sorry that took so long to get back to you. I appreciate you all watching my videos. I would be honored if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking the Mike face icon and check that bell so you get notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fun Store with cool things for sale for the tractor owner that helps support my website with great Christmas ideas on there. And here's another couple of videos you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.